All right, here we go with objective 26, graphing a line in slope-intercept form. This is the first objective of our last unit of the semester. So the last unit is unit E on graphing. That's our last unit for the semester, and we're going to begin that with objective 26. So slope-intercept form, that's the first thing that I want to define here. Slope-intercept form. The general form for a line in slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope, and you might remember that from a previous objective. Now, slope is change in y over change in x. And then this is slope-intercept form, so b is our intercept, specifically our y-intercept. Now, what is the y-intercept? Well, the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So let's talk about graphing lines in slope-intercept form. So in order to graph a line in slope-intercept form, and I'm going to abbreviate that, our first step is to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So if it's already in slope-intercept form, so like this one here, we see this is in the form y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope, is that number in front of x. So m, our slope, is 2. It's just 2, it's not 2x, just 2. Our y-intercept is that constant tagged on at the end. So in this case, minus 3 or negative 3. So our y-intercept b is negative 3. Next up, we are going to do step 2, which is plot the y-intercept. So again, the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So if our y-intercept is negative 3, that means we're crossing the y-axis, so it's this vertical axis here, at negative 3. So we're going to start at the origin and count down 3. So that is our y-intercept at negative 3. So we're going to plot that. Next up, step 3 is to use the slope to graph the line. So use the slope to graph the line. So in this case, our slope is 2. I always recommend converting your slope into a fraction whenever applicable. So 2 as a fraction is 2 over 1. So when we're using the slope, we can always think of it as the top number is going to tell us how far up or down to go. And the bottom number is always going to be right. We're always going to move right. So in this case, the top number is positive 2. So we're going to go up 2, and then we're going to go right 1. So in order to use the slope to plot your other points, you're going to start at your first point, that y-intercept, and you're going to go up 2, 1, 2, and then right 1. So we get this other point. We can just keep doing that on and on. So from here, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. You can do that as many times as you want. So here I would recommend using a ruler or a straight edge. Your student ID works really well. And we're just going to connect the dots and sketch in the graph. Remember to put arrowheads at either end of your line because this does extend infinitely. Let's try a few more examples. Here I have the equation y equals negative 2/3 times a quantity x plus 6. Now the first thing I ask myself, is this in slope-intercept form in y equals mx plus b? No, it's not. First we have to distribute. So here we have negative 2/3 times x gives us negative 2/3 x. And then negative 2/3 times 6, well, let's go ahead and plug that into our calculator. Sorry, I've got a couple other entries in here. So if we have negative 2/3, so I'm using my fraction bar, negative 2/3 times positive 6 times 6 is negative 4. So negative 4 or minus 4. And then this is all equal to y. So now is it in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b? It sure is. So now we can identify step 1, the slope and y-intercept. The slope is that number in front of x, so we have negative 2/3. Fortunately, it's already written as a fraction, so that's good. Our y-intercept is that constant, negative 4. That's just tacked on at the end. All right, step 2, plot the y-intercept. So our y-intercept is negative 4, so on this vertical axis, we're going to go down 4. Then we're going to plot our slope. So our slope is negative 2/3. So let's go ahead and write out the direction. So negative 2/3, our top is 2, but it's negative. So that means we're going to go down 2, and then we're going to go right 3. So from this point, from our first point, we're going to go down 2 and right 3. You can keep doing it, down 2, right 3, down 2, right 3. Get your straight edge and draw on the line. And draw on those arrowheads. Let's try another example. Here we have y equals 2x. Well, is this in slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. Well, right now it's just 2x. Is there y-intercept? There is, it's just not written. So if it's not written, you can always assume that it's plus 0. So now this is in slope-intercept form. So we have our slope is that number in front of x, so 2. And I'm going to go ahead and write that as a fraction. So 2 over 1. And then our y-intercept is 0. That's just that number tacked on at the end. So step 2, plot the y-intercept. So that's going to be our origin, 0, 0. It's right where the y-axis and x-axis intersect. And then our slope is 2 over 1. So we have up 2 and right 1. So we're going to go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, and so on. So you don't have to plot all the points you can, just enough for it to be sufficient to draw a line. So usually I plot at least 3. All right. So that is graphing lines in slope-intercept form. Go ahead and flip the page. Next up, I want to talk about horizontal and vertical lines. So let's go ahead and define what each of those are. Horizontal and vertical lines. So first, let's talk about horizontal lines. So horizontal lines, you can see in the word horizontal, horizon. So when you think of the horizon, right, you look out and see the horizon line, it's horizontal. It goes from left to right. So when we're graphing horizontal lines, here's our plane, we can draw them from left to right. So here is a horizontal line. It can be down here. It can be anywhere. It can just go from left to right. These here, notice that the y value isn't changing. So if I'm up here, say this is y equals 4, right? You can say x equals 1, 2, 10, negative 5, anything. The x can change, but the y doesn't change. So these are always going to be in the form y equals a number. And again, that number can be any real number. So it can be positive, negative, 0, anything like that. Vertical lines are pretty similar, but now instead of going from right to left, we're going to go up and down. So they're going to be these lines here. And again, these can be positive, negative, 0. So notice here that the x value, say this is x equals 5, your y value can change, but your x value is always going to be 5. So in this case, we can say that the general form for a vertical line is x equals a number. Again, that can be positive, negative, or 0. Let's practice a few. Which of the following is the graph for the line y equals 4? So y equals 4, that tells us that we're looking at a horizontal line at y equals 4. So horizontal line goes from right to left. Well, this one's not horizontal. This one is horizontal, so we'll look at that. This one is not horizontal. This one's vertical, so it's not that. This one's not. Let's double check this one. At y equals 4, we'll count up 1, 2, 3, 4. This is at y equals 4, so that's the horizontal line, y equals 4. Let's try another. Which of the following is the graph of the line x equals negative 3? So this here is a vertical line at x equals negative 3. So vertical lines, I'm looking through here. This isn't vertical. This is horizontal, so it's not that one. This one's not vertical. Let's check this one. Well, we're looking at x equals -3, so we count to the left 3, or 3 in the negative direction. So that's this vertical line. So it is C. Two more examples. Graph the equation y equals -2. Well, this is a horizontal line. So we're going to go from right to left or left to right. And we're looking at y equals -2. So on the y-axis, so you can always double check what axis is what. So on the y-axis, we're going to go down 2. And then from there, you can use your straight edge. We're going to draw a horizontal line going through that point. And again, these are lines, so they have arrowheads on each side. Next up, we have x equals 5. This is the form for a vertical line. X equals a number. So we're going to go up and down. So I'm looking at the x-axis. So x equals 5 tells me to go to the right 5, or where we see +5. So I'm going to plot that point. And then that's a vertical line, so it's going to go up and down. So I'm going to draw a vertical line passing through that point. And that is the line x equals 5. So here we go, objective 26. We graphed in slope-intercept form, and we talked about horizontal and vertical lines. We're going to get a whole lot of practice on this, so we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.